Hey, Smart Chicks, it's Carol Maloney Scott. I'm here on Monday at noon, and I'm here to start and kick off the 5-day challenge that we're doing this week, Monday through Friday, called Accelerate Your Job Search, which is I know is something that many of you need to be doing right now. So why are we doing this challenge? I like to draw attention to things. And I think that we need to pull our focus, to our goals, and that it's a good idea every once in a while to have these challenges. Because what I'm challenging you to do is to focus and focus consistently on your goals, right? So every Monday we talk about new Monday, new goals, new challenges. What are we going to accomplish this week? I've kind of framed together some things I think you need to think about in your job search, kind of from start to finish. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to do all of this work this week, every day, and have a job by the end of the week. And that's certainly not what I'm proposing. But I'm giving you the tips and tools and tricks and content that you can use to move the needle on the job search, career change, whatever it is you're doing, wherever you are, right? Wherever you are in the process. I don't really like to start people, even when I do one-on-one coaching, I don't start everybody in the same place. In the Career Happiness Map Studio program, membership site program, I don't start everyone in the same place there, really. You're free to start anywhere you want in there, wherever makes the most sense for you. I think all the content is valuable, but sometimes your need for a particular piece of content is more urgent than another. So therefore, getting started with the most urgent piece of content is important. So in using the word content a lot. So today's topic is content. And I think this is a topic that we can never get enough of, because content refers to all of your job search assets and the content of those. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and also we are going to touch on briefly on cover letters as well. So all of those things really are kind of the core that make up your job search assets. All three of these things need to, hi, hello, Lynn. All three of these things need to come together in a cohesive branding, personal branding way, so that they all fit and make sense together. I've seen many times people, submit a resume to me, a potential client. I'll look at their resume, then I'll look at their LinkedIn profile, and it looks like two different people. It looks like, either one was kind of worked on a long time ago, one was never worked on. They're not meeting, they're not the same, right? So consistency in your efforts, but also consistency in your messaging and your branding, makes the most sense to draw in the best potential opportunities for you. So the first thing I want to talk about is your resume. Now, we could talk about resumes literally all day, right? You could go online and search like how to write a resume, and I'm sure 500 million hits would come up, right? Or even if you go to Amazon and you look for a book on how to write a resume. If you go to LinkedIn and you try to find a resume writer, there's tons of them out there. Now, I'm not saying that you should not pay someone to professionally write your resume. I'm not saying that. Some of those people do a terrific, terrific job. But one thing I do want to caution you with in paying someone to write your resume is it's not now I wash my hands of it situation. Just because that person might be very skilled in how to position you, they might be really good at formatting the resume. They might be really good at writing the words, right? They're, the way they phrase things, all those good things. But they don't know you. So the input in and the input out need to match, right? So what you want to get out of that experience, you need to give the proper input, right? So I've seen many times people say, oh, my resume was professionally written. I look at the resume, it looks great, but it's not working for the person because it's not really targeting what it is they want, and it's not really telling a consistent brand story about them. And the reason it isn't is because they have not given that information to the resume writer, who is not a mind reader and can't figure that out, without you giving them that information about you. If you're doing your resume yourself, which, many of you are, excuse me, probably most of you are. And I don't write resumes. If you come to me and you say, I want to pay you just to write my resume, I'm not going to do that. I don't have the bandwidth to do that. And I don't think it's really necessary for me to do that. What I usually do with clients is, you come to me and say, I need help with my resume. Usually you have something, right, that we're working off of. We're figuring out what your target is. And I will advise people about their resume. I will edit their resume. I will go in there and start chopping it up, moving stuff around, rephrasing things, reframing things, which is even more important than rephrasing because of the positioning. So I will do all those things as part of my career coaching programs, but I don't actually sit down and just write somebody a resume. I feel that unless you've done all of the work to figure out exactly what it is that you're looking for, just sitting down to write your resume or paying someone just to write your resume is not going to be effective. You're not going to get the job that you want because you really haven't done the work to identify what that really is. So a resume is a marketing tool. A resume is not your autobiography. So your resume, many people write a resume and they just list everything they've ever done in chronological order, starting with the most recent. And they just go back. Sometimes they go back till the dawn of time, and like I'm no spring chicken. I've been in the workforce a long time. I would not be going back to the beginning, of my career on a resume. But there's a lot of talk about rules with resumes, right? Like, only go back 10 years, or it needs to be one page, or all of these various rules. The main rule. My main rule, and I was in recruiting and talent acquisition for 20 years, and I will tell you, my main rule is all meat, no filler. Everything that is on the resume, every word, every section, every bullet point needs to support the target. And what I mean by that is it needs to tell a story that the reader will read and say, oh, I see why this person wants this job. I see why this person is qualified for this job. And I see why I should move this person on to the next step in the process, which is obviously a phone screen and interview, right? A personal contact. And that's where you can really begin to sell yourself, right? So if the resume is the thing that gets your foot in the door, it gets your foot in the door by selling you. So it's a sales and marketing piece of writing. It is not just a list of everything that you've done. A job description is not a resume is not a job description either. So your resume should not read like a job description. If you're a receptionist and you write, I answer the phones, well, obviously, or I'm a receptionist and I greet people at the door. Well, that's what a receptionist does, or, if you were a ballerina, you wouldn't write, I dance in ballet productions. Really, that's what a ballerina does, right? So we don't want the resume to just tell us your duties and tasks. We don't want to say, I was responsible for the, first of all, we never want to say I anything. So first person is never in a resume, but we don't want to say, responsible for doing this, in charge of doing that, daily something task, whatever it is. You don't want, like, for instance, I was a recruiter, right? I would not write on my resume, review candidate resumes. I wouldn't write that down because obviously that's what a recruiter does, right? That's not adding any information. That's not giving that reader and reviewer of my resume any new information about me or any specific particular information about me and why I am a person that they would want to hire, right? The information, it's not there. It's not there. So a resume is a marketing tool, and that is why oftentimes we do need help writing them, because if we're not in marketing or sales, we're probably, or copywriting or public relations or journalism or any of those related fields. If we're not in those fields, we're probably not used to writing a marketing piece. That's not the type of writing that we do. We don't do persuasive writing. We don't do salesy type writing, right? That's not what we do. We're not promoting anything, right? That's not our job. If that's not your job, then it's really, really hard to do this on your own, because it's just it's a piece of writing that you just really don't know how to do. And that's fine, right? I don't know how to do technical writing. If you asked me to write, or something financial, I'm not going to write your business plan. I'm not going to, write, the code for your website. This is a type of writing that some people don't know how to do and other people do, just like every other type, right, of anything, right? It's a skill. So it is good to have a partner. It is good to have help doing this, whether it be a resume writer, someone like myself who's a career coach who will walk you through the entire process of figuring out what it is you want to do, how to position yourself, the whole process. And if that's not something you want to do or that you can invest in doing, You can join, a group of other job seekers. A Career Happiness Studio is a very affordable way, my membership community, to get in and get help. I do a resume workshop in there at least once a month. And you can bring your resume to it and we'll work on it in real time. That's helped a lot of the ladies in that group without having to, pay hundreds and, sometimes even thousands of dollars people charge to do your resume, depending on how long you've been in the workforce and, how complicated your resume is. So certainly you're at least saving hundreds of dollars by doing that. So you really need some kind of support, even if it's, I give it to somebody to look at, to, give me their opinion, somebody who knows. Maybe you have a recruiter friend, maybe you have a friend who does hiring at a company. The problem with that, though, is it can get very confusing because you give your resume to a bunch of different people to look at, and a bunch of different people have a bunch of different opinions, right? So that's when you get into, somebody says, oh no, only make it one page. Don't include an objective, include an objective. No, don't include a summary, don't include a summary. Do it in reverse chronological order. That's the only way they want to see it. No, you need to do a functional resume because you're a career changer. Put your education at the top, put your education at the bottom, put the dates on your education, don't put the dates on your education. There's all of these different opinions that you're going to get. And none of these things are rules, because you can't have rules around a process that is so specific to you as an individual, you with your experience, and you with what you want to do next, right? So yes, there are some rules. Obviously, we don't want it to look like, you wrote it on the back of a napkin. I mean, there are certain formats that are more, typical, common, accepted. We certainly don't want to use an I statement. We don't want to write in the first person on a resume. But as far as all these other rules and that people try to live by, I've seen people who have, 3 pages worth of experience trying to cram that into 1 page. And basically now not only do they have no filler, they don't have enough meat, right? They don't have enough information. They haven't been able to, in that 1 page, tell their full story. So just like a book, sometimes, have you ever read a book, a fiction book, and say, well, that was too long. The author didn't need to make it that long. And I write fiction as well. I've written 10 fiction books. And, sometimes people will say that, this was too long. She could have told this in less words, and that means that there are scenes in the book that don't drive the plot, right? That means that you're reading it and you're thinking, and I don't do this in my books because I hate it, but really long descriptions of things. Have you ever read a book where there's 3 pages of a description of what the dinner table looked like, or what somebody's gown looked like, or, what a scene outside looked like? And, sometimes that can be very beautiful prose, beautiful words, but that type of thing does not drive the plot. So you can have beautiful words on your resume that talk about something that you did or something you were responsible for, and it can be written really nicely and sound really professional and smart, but it's not driving the plot, right? And the plot is who you are, what you want to do, why we should let you do it, right? Why should this person let you have a chance, right? That's the plot. That's the story we're trying to tell here. So everything needs to drive the plot, and everything needs to come together to do that. So think about your resume. Just scrolling through my notes to make sure we're covering everything here. So think about your own resume, and here's some thoughts to have about it. And if you're on the call right now and you want to jot these down, please go ahead and do so. If you're not, if you're listening to this later on, same thing, just go ahead, pause me, jot it down. This will be saved, so even if you don't get everything right now, this live session will be saved just like all the others in the videos, and you can listen to it again later. You can scroll through and pause me when you don't want to hear me again and just get the part you want. But so what I want you to think about, though, is your resume working for you? So is it clear what you're looking for? If you look at your resume, is it clear what you're looking for and why and how you're qualified to do it? Why should someone pass you on to the next step? What's the compelling reason? If you have an objective statement or a summary, is it clear? Is it just a bunch of empty words? Does it just say, I have good communication skills and I'm a self-starter and I'm a dynamic professional? If it says any of those things, those are wasted words. No one cares about that. None of that is proven. and it means nothing. So if you're going to do an objective or a summary statement, it needs to, again, add meat. It needs to be something that tells us more than what the body of the resume is able to tell us, and it needs to do so in a succinct way. Review all of your bullet points. Again, are they all meat and no filler? Do you have some that you just don't need? Are they focused on your accomplishments and results and not merely on your tasks? As I said, they should not be focused on tasks. They should be focused on accomplishments and results. Every single job has accomplishments and results. Now, obviously, some are probably easier to figure out than others. You know, if you're responsible for a lot of revenue generation in your job, you know, those types of results are easy. You know, they're easy, they're very quantitative. And there should really be a combination of quantitative and qualitative bullet points. You know, anything quantitative, anything that is a number, anytime you have saved time, money, you know, made something more efficient, you know, those are the types of things, excuse me, that you want to put on your resume. Do your bullet points start with action words? Again, do they say things like designed, created, executed, or do they say things like responsible, right? Or, you know, answered the phone, greeted the people, made sales calls, you know, things that are just like, blah, right? Like they don't say, oh, wow, that's cool. You know, she executed something. You executed something. That means, you know, that's something that makes us take notice, right? So we want to think of the action words, and we want to think of creative action words. You know, if you feel like you've used the word created, you know, 5 times on your resume, take out your phone. It's the simplest thing in the world to do. ... Look, go to your browser, thesaurus.com. I do it all the time when I write fiction, because you don't want to use the same words over and over and over again. And sometimes words that are synonyms for other words actually do have other shades of meaning that might be more impactful words. Also, the fact that they might be words that not every other resume writer, job seeker is using, right? Because something that looks different and fresh is going to catch the eye of a recruiter or hiring manager who has looked at 200 resumes today. I will tell you, as a recruiter, your eyes glaze over after a while, and if everything starts to look the same, everything really starts to look the same, and you're not impressed anymore, because you're just not seeing anything that's jumping out at you as being different or, you know, noticeable, right? It all kind of blends together. So you don't want to blend, you want to stick out, right? And you want to stick out for the right reasons. So can I understand your story from the first 1/3 to 1/2 of the first page of your resume? So the top part of your resume, so that's why if you're doing an objective or a summary statement, it really needs to be an impactful one. There has to be a reason for doing it, not just, oh, I think I need to do that. Like that's checking off a box. Like Phil, you don't need an objective or a summary statement on your resume in 2020. You don't. If it adds something, and it's necessary because it adds something, then it's fine. But if it's just taking up, you know, precious space, then it is not fine, and it's a waste. You know, it's a waste. And so what happens is you take that out, and then you're moving your experience up, and now that's the first thing the person sees. We want the first thing the person sees to be something that's very impactful, because it's likely that's all they're going to look at. Honestly, it's likely that's all they're going to look at. So is it full of extraneous work experience that doesn't support your target? That's another thing. Many of us have done a lot of different things in our lives, worn even multiple hats in the same job. And some of those things just aren't important. You know, back to jobs you've had where, I don't know, like you know, as a recruiter, and also as I was a talent acquisition specialist, which was basically a group of people who supported the recruiters. So we did training and processes and policies, and, you know, there were things I did that, you know, were task oriented, but really were boring, and like, who cares? You know, like I was responsible for doing a report that pulled together all of the usage, the recruiters' usage of the various job boards that we paid for. So it was, I think it was called the job board use, it probably was called the job board usage report or something like that. So it was basically just pulling together data in this format on this spreadsheet. Every job I've ever applied for since, first of all, I hated doing it, mortally hated doing it. So I definitely didn't want to advertise that I knew how to do something like that, because I didn't want to do it again in any other job, right? So there was that. And then there was also the fact that who cares, because most of the other jobs I would ever be applying for in the future, that just wasn't something that anybody cared about, that I could put a report on a spreadsheet. And honestly, in 2020, in most professional business type jobs, everyone expects that you can put basic information on a spreadsheet. Even putting Microsoft Office as a skill on your resume in 2020 is kind of like saying, I know how to walk, or I know how to chew gum, or I know how to breathe air, because pretty much everybody knows how to use Microsoft Office now, even like children, So that's really nothing that is differentiating you, right? It's not special. And do you have a target? And again, if you do not have a target, you need to refer back to the clues and/or clarity sections of my book and my work. We work on those in Career Happiness Map for sure. I certainly work on them very in depth with any one-on-one clients I have, because if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there. And I know that particularly when you're unemployed, and particularly now in the pandemic, I understand that it's very stressful, and it is certainly very stressful when you're unemployed, but it's also very stressful when you're either underemployed or unhappily employed. You may be getting a paycheck, but, at what cost, right? At what emotional cost, or cost to even your physical health, right? And your well-being, right? And your relationships and your family and, just your life, your being, right? There can be a very big cost to that if you're unhappily employed. So that's something that you really need, to think about, because, you have to go to work every day, whether it be, at home or in an office. And if it's really stressful and it's really making you miserable, I understand that there's a huge sense of urgency right now around getting a job, whether it be, unemployed or unhappily employed. But the problem is that a lot of people throw themselves into the job search, and they start sending out resumes that are not well targeted. They don't really know what they're applying for. They're applying for everything. They're throwing the spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And really, generally, nothing sticks when you do that, or at least nothing that you really want sticks, right? So that's kind of running away from something instead of running to something. So when we have a target and a focus, we know where we're running to. And then it's okay to move quickly. It's okay to get our resume ready fast and our LinkedIn profile, and to really go for it, and start really aggressively applying for jobs, aggressively networking for jobs, aggressively, going out there and seeing what's there. But if you're not prepared to do that, it's actually going to slow the process down. And because you're not going to get hits, you're not going to get calls, you're not going to get interviews, and then you're going to feel like there's something wrong with you, and then you're going to get depressed, and you're going to feel bad, and then you're going to lose your motivation and your drive to find a job, right? And that's where unfortunately, I meet so many people who want to work with me, who tell me, I've been looking for a job, and I can't find a job. And then when I ask them what they've done, they really haven't done what they need to do to find a job. They have not done the prep work. They have not laid the foundation for that job. So there's no foundation, and everything they're trying to do on top of that no foundation is completely shaky and keeps falling apart. And instead of realizing that they didn't lay the foundation and going back and doing that, they just think they're a bad builder. They need to get out of the business of building, and no, they need to, go back to building 101, which is really what I'm trying to do with you guys here today, and start over. Your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is a free place for you as a job seeker, as a professional, to advertise yourself for opportunities, advertise yourself for business, advertise yourself for anything that you want to do in the professional world. And it is unbelievable how underutilized that resource is, right? So if you go on LinkedIn, and I think a lot of people are doing a better job of it right now, and I have to kind of congratulate a lot of you, because there's a lot of people who are doing a better job of it now, and they're realizing the importance of it, particularly now in the pandemic. People are working from home. People are home more, period. They are online more because of that. And a lot of people are very willing to network with you. I have clients who literally are like this close to getting their dream job, and they just started doing it a few weeks ago, working with me because of how much strategic networking they've been doing on LinkedIn. But your LinkedIn profile needs to reflect, again, the same thing as your resume. What do you want? Why should we let you do it? why do I want to talk to you, right? So if you have a LinkedIn profile that's barely a shell, it doesn't have a photo, it has an unprofessional photo. I've seen women put their wedding dresses as they're wearing their wedding dress in their LinkedIn profile. I don't understand. I mean, then they're not wedding planners. So I really don't get it. So you need a professional photo, you need a well-developed profile, and what do I mean by that? You need to utilize all of the sections that they allow you to have. There's a narrative section at the top where you can talk about yourself. And in that section, it's not a resume. You can use the word I, right? So you can write something in the first person. You can write a story basically about who you are, what you want to do, and why we should let you do it. I mean, that's like a position paper about you, right? And you have space to do that there. So many people leave that blank, or they use LinkedIn. LinkedIn has like a canned, like a suggested template for that, which just looks absolutely horrible when people use that. Take the additional time. If you don't know how to do it, you need to get help doing it. And whether that's I buy a book about LinkedIn, I take a class that LinkedIn offers about LinkedIn. I work with a coach. I do LinkedIn. I'm going to be doing a LinkedIn workshop this month in Career Happiness Studio for the members, where we're going to actually, dig into some people's LinkedIn profiles, and we're going to really go through all the sections and knock that out, right? And really help people to build that out. But it makes such a difference if you reach out to people and they go to you and they say, oh, who is this person that wants to talk to me? Oh, Ashley, let me see what Ashley is about. And then they look at Ashley's profile and she's wearing her wedding dress, or it's her nothing's updated, nothing's filled out, nothing's complete. Her education's not complete. It's obvious that she's taken no time to work on this. Well, I don't know who this person is. And now I really don't know who this person is because she hasn't even given me the information that she can, right? And so she doesn't seem to really care that much to make her profile shine, right? And put the effort into it. So that's not impressive. I don't know this person, so what does she even want from me, right? Like, I don't know if I can help this person. And how professional is this person, whatever, right? So it's just, it makes the person you've reached out to feel like, well, I don't need to talk to this person. Whereas if you really look like you're put together on LinkedIn, people are going to say, wow, okay, this looks like a quality professional person. This might be a good contact for me too. You also want to think about with your LinkedIn profile, the fact that not only are you attracting people that you reach out to, you want people to reach out to you as well. And whether that is people that want your help, remember it's a two-way street. This isn't just about you. It's not all about you. It feels like it's all about you when you're looking for a job, I know, but there's other people who are looking as well, and maybe you can help those people. And I'm not talking about asking people, do you have a job for me? I'm talking about informational interviews, building your network, letting people in your industry, in your area, in your profession know that you're looking for a position, know that you're looking to find out more about positions, more about what's going on in the industry and other companies or other organizations, or certainly if you're looking to pivot into a different industry, you're looking to learn more about that. These are very non-threatening reach outs. You're not asking somebody for a job. You're just asking them really to talk about themselves and what they do. Most people like to do that. And if somebody ignores you or somebody acts jerky towards you, who cares? There's 700 million users or something, I think, on LinkedIn. So, and probably, I'm sure at least half of those are English speaking. So who cares, right? Like, who cares? Just next, move on to the next person. It doesn't, they cannot hurt you. And it doesn't matter if they ignore you, and you have no idea why they're ignoring you, and it doesn't matter. That's not your problem. You just move on to the next person who might be able to help you. And I'm telling you, I have clients that are this close, really, to securing their dream job just because of people that they have met on LinkedIn, and then the people that those people know, right? It has tentacles. It's who you know, then who does that person know? And every time you connect with a new person, now you can see their second connections or their second level connections and potentially connect with those people. So it really exponentially builds your reach. So do you have a professional recent photo? If you do not, get one today. It can just be taken with your cell phone. It doesn't have to be a professional headshot. If you have one, great. Of course, that looks nice. But if you don't have that, you easily could get your spouse, partner, child, friend, anybody. You could even take a selfie. You could set the camera up on a little tripod, costs $10 on Amazon. Do your own little photo shoot of yourself if you're living alone or you're self-isolating right now. There is no excuse not to be able to, in 2020, get a headshot photo of you and put it out there, right? Again, have you filled out all of the sections? Really pay attention to that. When you hit edit on LinkedIn, to edit your profile, what are all the sections? If you don't know how to fill those out, then you need help. So you need a coach, or you need a class, or you need a book, or you need a training, right? You need some kind of support around that if you're really not sure what you should be putting there. So does your profile complement your resume? Again, it should complement your resume, and it should tell a cohesive story and consistently branding you. If you came across your profile, would you think that you were serious about your career, actively looking and approachable? Recruiters use LinkedIn constantly now, constantly. I mean, when I left my last recruiting job, I was on LinkedIn every single day in my LinkedIn recruiter account. LinkedIn is a place. Now, will you get messages from recruiters that are not pertinent to you and things you don't want and things that feel spammy? Yes. Will you get, business opportunities and all sorts of crap from people that you're like, what do these people want? Yes, I get it every day, right? But do I also get wonderful quality leads of ladies who are really looking to move the needle on their careers and they hire me? Yes. So, right? So we have to take the nonsense, right, with the good, unfortunately, and just weed that out. And again, we just ignore and delete, and sometimes we can also block, people that we don't want messaging us, if we don't like what they have to say or if it's not pertinent for us. And it's easy also to just politely say no, thank you. How many connections do you have on LinkedIn? Now, I have, of course, I was a recruiter for many years, and I've been a career coach now full-time for a year. I have like 7,300, I think, connections on LinkedIn. I don't expect the average person to have that many or to have worked hard to gain that many. I worked very hard to gain that many. But how many connections do you have? I guarantee no matter how many you have, you should have more, and you could have more easily. So they need to be intentional, quality connections that support your desired job target. So don't just connect with everyone, that lives on your street, or everybody that works at your company, or everybody who has the same job title as you. You want to think about, what do I want to do? Where do I want to do it? Both geographically, industry-wise, type of position. Who are the types of people who would be able to give me information and that we would be able to create a supportive relationship? Who are these people? What do they look like? Start searching via keywords to find those people and connect with them. I want to briefly touch on the cover letter. I know how much people hate writing cover letters, and I know those of you who've listened to me in the past have heard me say this before. I wish I knew the guy who said this, because he's really provided me with this material like for the rest of my life. But there was, on Twitter, there was a young man who I don't think I'm connected to, but I saw this guy on Twitter, and he wrote his tweet, and he said, "I would rather eat a whole car tire than write a cover letter for a job." And I thought that was, first of all, hilarious. Like when I first read that, I just laughed for like 5 minutes straight, because it's so true. People hate writing cover letters for jobs. And honestly, I am a writer. I've done a lot of persuasive writing. I've just done a lot of writing, period. I'm not a person who shies away from having to write. Even I don't like writing a cover letter for myself. I don't really even like writing a lot of my ad copy and things like that, because yes, I have a bit of a marketing sales sensibility, but it's still not like the main thing I've done in my life, and I don't love it. And I don't love it when it has to do with me or my business, or, it's hard. It's hard to promote yourself, right? It is. It's always hard to promote ourselves. We're very close to our own stuff. We don't know where is the line between feeling too braggy and boastful and jerky and being too humble and not sharing our greatness, right? There's a line there, right? Like there's times when I want to say, I am the best career coach in the world, and I know that I can help you, and you need to work with me. And then there's times I want to say, you know what, work with me or don't work with me, I don't know. Depending on how I feel that day, right? So even though I am very confident, I know I can help you, I know I'm good at what I do, I need to demonstrate that in ways that are not necessarily, me either giving up or being a boastful jerk, right? So That's what you want to do in your cover letter. You want to support, again, it's an opportunity. So even though, you're thinking, oh my God, I wrote the resume, I wrote the LinkedIn profile, I've done all this freaking work, now I have to write cover letters. And I want to write cover letters so that they sound like they're specific to the job I'm applying to. Well, Carol, I want to apply to 100 jobs. First of all, don't apply to 100 jobs because there aren't 100 jobs probably that you should be applying to if you're properly targeting and focusing. So therefore, you should be able to write, a cover letter that you can customize, right? We don't need to reinvent it every single time, but you can customize to the individual position, right? But a couple things on cover letters. So are you using it to share information not found on the resume, such as reasons that you want to relocate, time frames that you're available? Some people say, I want to put on my resume that I'm available immediately and I live in an apartment and I don't have to sell my house, right? There's nowhere to put that on a resume. You can put willing to relocate on your resume, like at the top under your name if you want. But in the cover letter, you can explain something like that, right? You can explain, I am immediately available to relocate. You could also say something like, I am planning on relocating to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Anyway, I have a target. I know I'm going to move there anyway to be closer to family. Or I've identified this location as the best place for my personal and professional growth, and I'm seeking opportunities only in that area. That sort of thing you can put in a cover letter. And then someone will say, oh, okay, this person really is just like a local candidate because they're moving here anyway. And then, I have a client who just bought a house somewhere because her husband is moving there. Her husband's got a job there. So they're definitely moving there. So even though she's not a local candidate, she is a local candidate because she's moving there in a month and she's going to be there. So these are things that you can use the cover letter to explain so that the hiring manager or recruiter is more likely to take a chance on interviewing you because they know that there isn't going to necessarily be this big slog of time before you can come and start the job. You're not going to ask for relocation assistance, money that they don't have. You're not going to back out at the last minute because you decided that, you want to just stay where you are and you found a local job and you don't need to relocate now. Those types of things, so remove the barriers. The cover letter is an opportunity for you to remove the barriers and doubts in the mind of the person who is thinking about either passing on your resume to the next point or, passing it on into the trash can, metaphorically. Obviously, they're not really doing that because they're looking at it on a computer. So is it just a few paragraphs of intentional targeted information? You don't want to write a cover letter, again, like you're writing your life story. You just want to put in there information to support your target that you have not necessarily been able to really talk about in as much depth on the resume as you'd like. Maybe there's one particular project that you worked on that you really want to highlight something and go a little deeper and talk about it. You could do that. Like I said, if you want to talk about relocation or, location, why you want to be somewhere, if you want to talk about why you're looking for a new opportunity at this time and what type of advancement you're looking for in this role, or talk about your best skills and the skills that you hope to use in this role. You want to focus on what you can do for them and not what you want. I see a lot of resumes and cover letters being written like this. I am seeking a job where I can grow professionally, or I am seeking a job where I can learn this. Now, while that's fine that you want that, and it's good, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't want things for yourself. You absolutely should. An employer should want somebody that wants something for themselves, right? You value yourself. But we don't want to make it all about us. We don't want to make it sound like I want this job because what this job can give me, right? We want to focus on what we can give to the customer, right? In this case, the client company, the company, right? The organization we're looking to be hired by. Why should they hire you? What's in it for them? Why are you the person? What can you do for them? What problems can you solve for them? You need to think about the fact that everybody who works at a company, any organization, they're all just made up of people, right? Organizations are made up of human beings like you and I. And at the end of the day, we all care about the same types of things, right? We all care about ourselves and our own well-being. Well, companies and organizations have problems that need to be solved, right? That's what work is. Work is problems that need to be solved. So all jobs exist because there are problems that need to be solved. Every job. There is not a single job I can think of that doesn't exist because a problem needs to be solved. Even if you serve ice cream cones at a stand, the problem is that the person really wants an ice cream cone. They're hungry. They have a sugar rush fix desire. Their kids are crying and they want to buy them an ice cream cone, so they shut up. Like whatever it is, you're solving a problem, and the problem is a person needs an ice cream cone, right? So obviously the problems become more complex in more complex organizations and transactions. They become more complex as your skill level goes up, as your responsibility level goes up, and certainly as your leadership roles go up. That becomes more complicated, but it's really at the essence is the same. A person has a problem and they need to solve it. Even if you're the person who scoops the ice cream, you need to have somebody else working with you who can help you so you don't have to scoop all the ice cream, right? Or if you're the manager of the ice cream store, you need somebody to ring on the register because you can't scoop the ice cream and ring the register at the same time, right? You need somebody to clean up the tables after the people eat the ice cream because other people won't want to come into your store and eat in your store if it's dirty, right? So that's a problem, right? That needs to be solved. So every organization has a problem that needs to be solved, and you are a potential person to solve that problem. So when you think about, based on the job description that you're reading, based on everything you've learned through your networking and research about that company, organization, about that person, even sometimes you can even know if you know who the hiring manager is, you can even look that up on LinkedIn, find out more about that person. You can learn a lot about what is keeping the people up at night in that organization. Like what problems is this job being filled going to solve for that organization, and how can you be the right person to solve those problems? So that's something to think about when you're writing your cover letter. And of course, again, like everything else, getting help with it. There's no shame in that. There's books on writing cover letters. There's videos on writing cover letters. It's all out there. And certainly, that is something else that that I work with clients on as well, is helping them to edit their cover letters and to craft their cover letters in such a way so that they are using succinct speech to get across their point in as few words as possible, so that, again, it is all meat and no filler, and somebody who's reading it, their eyes don't glaze over. It's not the same thing they've seen everybody write. So that's why I caution you when you look for assistance with resumes and cover letters and LinkedIn profiles. Yes, you can get a book. Yes, you can look at templates. Yes, you can do all that kind of stuff. But you want to make sure that it's very individual to you and your target. So you don't want it to look like everyone else's, because if it looks like everyone else's, it might as well just be blank, because it blends in and it's not special. And you're special, your job target is special, your job search is special, your life is special, right? And you want that unique sense of you to shine through in everything that you put out there as far as your job search content and assets. So I hope this was helpful. I want you guys to think about all of these things. I'm not doing this challenge with homework because I don't want to give you like one silly little piece of homework that you like, oh, take out your resume and just see what, whatever. I'm not going to give you like some little tiny homework, because really, the big homework is you need to do all of this, so I want you to start, maybe the homework really is start to put together a plan to audit all of these resources that you have and make a list of what you need to do and what actions you need to take in order to get all of these assets up to speed so that they are supporting your target. So really audit what you have, look at what you have, and ask yourself these tough questions about the content that you currently have. Very often when we don't get calls for interviews, we don't get moved forward in the hiring process, is because something in our content and our messaging is off. And it's not representing us and positioning ourselves most effectively. So if you have questions, please put them in the comments of this post once I get it out there. And love you guys. And tomorrow we will be back again, and I'm going to announce tomorrow's topic a little bit later. And we'll move on to another actionable topic in the 5-day challenge, Accelerate Your Job Search. I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.